It has been another just fantastic weekend for KCPD. 2 weekends into their entertainment plan. And on Friday night alone, 19 arrests, 76 citations, just absolutely rolling. Several firearms seized, 36 vehicles towed. What more can you ask for? KCPD Chief Stacey Graves is here on KCMO. We always appreciate her time. So, Chief, weekend number 2, how would you grade this weekend here as you guys continue to really, hopefully, put an end to a lot of the nonsense happening in the entertainment districts around Kansas City?
Well, I'd give us a high grade this weekend. I'm sure you've seen some of our images that we put out on social media, especially the one with the guy that has a shirt that says, "We don't stop for cops." He was actually sitting on a curb in handcuffs. So we're going to continue. We're going to continue these efforts, whether we are targeting street racers or anybody else that wants to feel like they can come to Kansas City and exhibit lawless behavior or cause disorder when we're trying to make our city safer and so much more, quieter, let's just say. I don't know about you, Pete, but if you've been down in and around the area, those are some loud street racers. You know, we've gotten some complaints about noise disturbances in addition to some of the dangerous behavior from some of these street racers.
Let me ask you, these individuals, are they Kansas City residents largely? Are they from the surrounding area, just knowing they could previously get away with this in Kansas City? Like, who are they and what is drawing them to these entertainment districts?
Okay, so for this weekend, we did have some outsiders coming in. But sometimes we have people from all across the region coming in. Some of these riders are from Kansas City. But this weekend, we had some folks from out of town. They are going to be having a little bit more difficulty, I'm sure, trying to get their vehicles back as if they are traveling in from out of state. But I do want to make one thing clear. This isn't kids borrowing their mom's cars. This isn't kids on their necessarily having their motorbikes down here. These are adults. These are adults who are involved in dangerous behavior. Oftentimes, just like you mentioned before, they're armed with firearms. And, we will continue to escalate our enforcement. We'll continue to work on additional legislation to make sure that we let people know this is not the place to do that kind of activity.
So when you say out of state, do you mean from Kansas, or do you mean from literally?
Like Oklahoma.
Okay.
We've had folks from Texas. We've had people from all over coming into Kansas City. And, this is a culture across the United States. I think I've mentioned that before. I talk to other major city chiefs across the United States, and they're experiencing the same thing in their cities. And, we all share how we're trying to combat that, what legislation we request and get through, and how we, are escalating our enforcement tactics.
Okay, so they are coming from all over. And what is the purpose of this? Is it like they want to go viral on social media with some of these videos, or is it just trying to cause chaos and disruption in high-traffic areas like entertainment districts?
Chaos, disruption, and recognition on social media. So some people have said, well, hey, if you give them somewhere to go, I disagree with that. Mm-hmm. People like this that are doing this type of activity are coming down here to be seen. I saw it on Friday night. I was under the bridge on the west side. We were having a great boxing event where one of our police athletic league kiddos were boxing in. I'm not saying that's our event, but we were participating in it. And you hear these guys on bikes coming through. They're trying to go on the sidewalks, and you have some of the people that were in and around that event starting to videotape them. So it's they want to be seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's pretty clear. You're right about that. So you obviously had a great second weekend. These are not kids. These are adults. They're armed in many cases as well. So what happens next with these 19 arrests in particular? You've arrested them, and now obviously they go to the prosecutor's office. And how do you feel like that relationship is specifically with these arrests and what you hope happens to these individuals?
Good. So just to get their vehicles out of tow is $500. I mean, and that's it. Their first time getting their vehicle towed. Then it goes up from there. Goes to $750. Goes to $1,000. People, if they were arrested for doing wheelies, you have imprisonment up to 180 days, a fine of not less than $250, up to $1,000. It continues to increase, and also with our new state law that we hope goes into effect in August of 2025, I mean, we're talking about the first offense is a Class D misdemeanor, the third a Class E felony. So we're going to continue to keep pushing up and escalating that enforcement until this is no longer a thing here in Kansas City.
Do you feel like this is actually a pretty small group, relatively speaking, of people where, you can get them potentially on these felony charges if it is a third time that they've committed something like this? Like, is it just a lot of the same people, I guess?
Well, we have a detective that's working full-time on street racers. So, what you see on Friday and Saturday night and that enforcement, that continues throughout the week. We have a detective that looks at cameras. We have they're checking the license plate readers, trying to make sure that we identify some of these organizers and people that are involved in this, and it just in following up. Whether if we got to go get someone and their vehicle, we can do that too. Mm-hmm. Like, it just doesn't stop on a Friday night. I will say I do want to give a shout out to our city workers that were with us on Friday night under the bridge. We had two large. I don't remember what department they were from, but there were two large trucks that were blocking a roadway, which really helped us with the pedestrian traffic that we had down there to make sure none of those street racers came through that just to drive through the pedestrian traffic. So also when they started to come on the sidewalk, those city workers went out and was like, nope, not here, and just got them along their way.
Do you feel like, Chief, this is 5 years, give or take, of frustrations for your department kind of coming out, so to speak, where it feels like you can finally do your job? You've got the backing of the city hall, the city council, in a way that maybe you didn't have in the last few years?
I'm telling you, there is a unification of city leadership here. And when I say city, I'm talking about also Jackson County. You can also include the other counties in that. We are working together. We all are on the same page. We all want to make sure that Kansas City's safer. And that is reflective in some of the press releases that have come out with charges coming out, even specifically about street racing and other situations. We're unified, and Kansas City is going to be safer as a result.
How unified, when you talk about unification of course, City Hall, Police Department, and Jackson County, the most unified, you've obviously been at this with KCPD for decades, but is there a time in your career you can think of where those three branches were as unified as they are right now?
I've been around for a long time, and I got to tell you, sometimes when you're a young officer, you don't necessarily are that involved with the politics.
True. Yeah, true.
I will say, this is the best it's been in a long time, and it's good. It's really good.
Good deal. Well, Chief, thank you for hopping on once again. Keep up the great work over the weekend. We appreciate all the men and women in law enforcement in Kansas City, Missouri, and we will talk to you again soon. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, Pete. You too.
All right. There you go. Stacey Graves, KCPD Chief on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.